Okay, so I know that most of my friends and family and people on my social media know that I've been sick for a long time. It happened when I moved to Florida from the algae blooms, and that I'm now living back in Steamboat Springs, Colorado with my son Noah. And I should probably turn the music down. Um, my son was supposed to be helping me to do this, but he's been helping me to do all of this. Papers, everywhere. So, although I'm here in Colorado, I know that Florida is in terrible shape right now. That it's a state of emergency because of the water and the algae blooms. There's fish kill everywhere. I'm not allowed to come back there. I miss everybody so much. I miss the beach. I miss the waves. I miss taking pictures of everyone surfing and my surf business that we had just got going, Christine Benedetto and I. I miss watching all of the Groms become junior pros, and it breaks my heart that I'm not there to be a part of it or take pictures anymore or, any of that. So I am coming to terms with the fact that that part of my life is over for the most part. I have a whole slew of appointments coming up again. I've been here, I think, for like almost 5 years now, or going back and forth to try to get off prednisone and everything. But I'm not allowed to come back to Florida, otherwise I of course would have. So I was going to go to Mayo Clinic, but I sat with my doctor and some of my advocates here, and we've decided to give University of Colorado in Denver at the Anschutz campus, which is where the med school is, to give it another go around. Most of my tests have not I live very far from Denver in the middle of nowhere, so it's been very difficult to get a team of doctors to work with me and to communicate when I'm driving like all over the state of Colorado, which is pretty big. And then winter hits or another crisis hits, like this last seizure that I had last summer, which has left me with a TBI. I've had quite a few concussions after that in the meantime, and I'm on a lot of seizure medicine. I have brain death and gliosis happening, and I still have been very sick. I thought that when I moved here it was going to be a fix and I was going to get better and be off of prednisone and methotrexate and all those immunosuppressants that were working against me, really. When I think back to right before I moved, when Evan Miller and everybody was getting together, all the protests to help and save our water in the river, I was on the news a few times, and sorry, my brain goes, it disappears still, but I was on the news a few times with my infections matching the bacteria in the water, along with my son, who, before we actually came here and moved here, for one of my big birthdays, we almost had to cancel that trip, and I'd been trying to get back here for 10 years to visit my friends from here in Steamboat, where I lived in my early 20s and met his father, but I couldn't come back here to visit because every time I had made plans to visit, I would get sick with another infection or be in the hospital or dealing with all my illness there, and Noah's as well. So anyway, right before we came here, he was surfing with all of the big guys at our secret spot in Florida in Martin County. I'm not supposed to give any of that information ever, but I'm sure everybody there knows what I'm talking about and where. And he aspirated water, and because the waves were probably for him at that age double overhead. But he was out there with Scotty and Sensi and being a big kid, and actually surfed really well, but he did aspirate water and got very sick. And it's, even though the water looks clean, at times it's not ever been clean. From the minute that I started going there to visit my mom and stepfather when Noah was a year old, and the big hurricanes happened and we had a huge algal bloom after that, I felt sick immediately. Immediately, I would go to look for houses because we were going to move and flying back and forth, and I would run from my mom's house, which was on the river, all the way to the beach, which is where I met Christine Benedetto, because I was missing snowboarding like I was doing here and hadn't been on a surfboard in years, and I was running, and her husband runs and she hates to run, so we were like, oh, if we can run together, then she'd get me in the water surfing. And every run I would do from my mom's house to the beach, I would get back and I would feel so sick, and I was in great shape then. I was obviously a lot younger than I am now, and every single time I would come back, I would feel sick. This pollution isn't just in the water, it's not just in Lake Okeechobee, it's in the air. I mean, we're talking about tiny little spores and superbugs and, micro and myco whatever organisms and protozoa and fungi, and so much grows in those blooms. The blue-green algae and the red tide, that's a little further up north. And I think a lot of people kind of forget that. Like, if we're out boating or fishing or surfing or just at our homes and we're stepping on the beach or on and off boats and bringing surfboards in and towels to wash, whatever, we're breathing it in. And then we had septic tank leakages, causes respiratory infections and sore throats and low-grade temperatures and ear infections and pneumonia and coughs. And I mean, in my stack of medical records, which I'm trying to get organized for, like, I don't even know, the 20th time, because they keep growing. I lost myself again, but in these stacks of records are proof of, going to the ER in Martin County and them just calling us the river rash people, and my diagnoses there would never be one, or they would delete them. Anyway, my dogs were sick, my cats were sick, Noah had like 4 forms of pneumonia from aspirating that water, you know, and anytime any of us have had cuts or scrapes or a mosquito bite or a no-see-um bite or a red ant bite, a lot of us have gotten sick. I know, you know, there's been, and my heart and soul and love goes out to the families of, you know, those who have passed away from Vibrio and whatever that is, and, you know, or any of these things that make us go septic. And Jackson, stop licking me. It is terrible. My life was stolen from me when it was just beginning again. You know, I've had an amazing life. I've worked in a lot of incredible careers and met amazing people along the way. I've been blessed and lived in incredible places. But this stole my life. It stole it. You know, I was just, because I was sick, getting sick and not, you know, able to actually go in the water as much, I started taking pictures, and I hadn't really done that digitally ever in sports other than editing. And I still don't know how to edit because that's how I was taught to shoot for, you know, for magazines and print. So I got into, you know, surf photography and fell in love with it, and I was lucky enough to have the guys at ESM work with me for a couple years, I believe, back and forth until I was able to get published. And from there, I mean, everything just was taking off for me, and Christina and I had worked really hard on starting Alma Mi Vida, and we were about to put our first line out on the floors in stores. And I was told I have a year to live. And as you can see, I have a bandage here. I just had cellulitis and two infections on my arms and hands, and one on my knee, my elbow, my feet. So anyway, point is I moved here because I was told I was going to get better. And I thought I could go off prednisone. And I've been here just about 5 years. And although my skin has improved because I'm not in direct contact with the water, they've still found 3 of the bacteria that I picked up there in Florida from the water, which actually goes back to now my memory, my brain damage came back, is that after being on the news, I had them to my house the 3rd time, hush, and showed them, you know, these stacks and stacks of records. You know, there's like 15 years worth of records. And then I took them to the canal by where I lived over in Stewart at I can't even remember the names of streets anymore, but it was my house at Kruger Parkway. And Noah had just finished a science project on the difference between evaporation, I think my dog's hungry, of salt water and brackish water. And it turned into a science fair project about, stop it, Jackson. I think I have to feed him. About the water, about bacteria. And I couldn't get one lab in Florida to give me stuff to test the water. But in Noah's project, within hours or minutes, geckos would collect to go drink water, and they would be dead. They would die the next day, or, you know, by the end of the next time we look at the water or check it, they'd be dead. My cat was very sick. Obviously, when we lived in Florida, everybody saw me incredibly sick. I spent so much time in bed, and I think Carolyn, you and Christine and Crystal and Teresa, I know I'm gonna forget people, Melissa, I mean, you know, everybody from my Treasure Coast family too. Everyone would just come and drag me out of bed, you know, and then, you know, we went through a lot those years, and, you know, there's quite a few friends of ours that also have passed from Lou Gehrig's disease and ALS, and now they've found that you know, that's stemming from the fish that we would catch and eat. I mean, I don't think we ever left the water, even on a day with no waves. Then we were fishing or out on the boat and bringing the kids, you know, in the river, and it didn't really matter what type of day it was. We always were at the beach or the river or the intercoastal, or, I mean, it just, every day we walked the beach, every single day, every morning, or surfed, ate dinner there, lived on it. And like I say, it's not just in the water, it's in obviously what we're eating out of the water, which apparently now isn't much, you know, when I look at all the fish kill, and I mean, but this has been going on, you know, and going on, and it gets swept under the carpet every single time. I mean, it's making big news now, but yeah, I guarantee, unless we team up and keep at this, it'll get swept under there again. I mean, look at, I'm not gonna talk about politics, but I can tell you that I have a paper trail and obviously of my medical stuff, and of my contacting every single government agency about what's been going on. You know, because it's taken lives of people I know. It's made children sick that don't ever deserve to be sick like that. And it's stolen lives of myself, friends that I know, you know, very close friends. I mean, when you get a bunch of surfers that relocate to the mountains, like, obviously there's something going on. But, you know, my mom is super sick now, and she lives right on the water, and I don't even know the last time she's gone to the beach. Years. I think I started getting sick and didn't know what it was, and was diagnosed with so many different upper respiratory things. And oh, that was my point too. Sorry, I hate that I keep going back like this, but I do have permanent brain damage now, so I lose myself often. But my point was, with the last time that I was on the news and showed them and brought them in the house and went down to the water with them, my point was that, and I don't know if I already said it, but that's when they posted the first few signs about to stay out of the water, that it was contaminated or whatever, there was something going on with it, is because I had so many labs that showed the same exact bacteria was coming from that water when they did finally start testing it. So you know, this is a new, really sad thing that's not just happening in Florida. I mean, I've been studying cases from the Great Lakes, from different countries. I mean, this is what's happening to our world, and it's really sad, to our earth. And it's not done by natural causes. These are politicians that are dirty. This is Big Sugar. This is what we do and how we raise all of our agriculture. this is the antibiotics that we put in the animals, which then their waste goes into Lake Okeechobee. So we're feeding ourselves with antibiotics without knowing it. And I will tell you, I'm not going to go crazy and say everything that I've picked up from the water. But there's this, I'm hopeful because this is happening right now and it's believable. I mean, I'm not kidding. I moved here because I was told I was going to die, and I found hospitals to go to that seemed very interested, and they literally all thought that I was a nutcase because I was talking about algae blooms and water and being sick from water, and you know, I ate like crazy, but I mean, my immune system was like in overcharge, and I was on debilitating immunosuppressants and antibiotics constantly, with PICC lines in my arms, and I don't even know how many hospital stays, but you know, it's a new science, it's a new field in medicine, it's environmental medicine, you know, and it's time for environmental law to be proactive with this. It's very hard to fight this kind of stuff. There's a lot of amendments that have to do with bodies of water, and when you're going up against just about every government agency, it's not easy, but the only way for us to put an end to this is to gather together, all of us, you know, not just protesting and, you know, showing fish kill and the color of the water and the smell of it, and, you know, it's incredibly sad. It's destroying our ecosystem completely, but I think the only way that we're gonna make a difference is to get us all together. You know, those of us that have been sick and infected and, you know, undiagnosed because nobody can figure out, you know, exactly what it is because it's a cover-up. I mean, I was looking for it and couldn't find it, but I have a sheet of paper that shows every time somebody logged into my chart at Martin Memorial. And because I was smart enough to print things out immediately, and I had a good friend that worked there that stayed on top of it for me, but they were deleting my records, I mean, and changing diagnoses. And like I said, you know, they would call us the river rash people, and our, you know, our pneumonias were just a cough, but we were given, you know, crazy antibiotics. And I know I'm jumping around, but this is something that we need to get together and fight. You know, if, like I said, if you've been infected, or, you know, had pneumonia, had ear infections, sore throats, fevers, you know, cuts that have come up. I don't even know if the doctors even test anymore there, because, I mean, at this point, they barely test on me. I can tell by what it looks like, what it is, but that's the other thing I was going to say is the one that I did have, which I will talk about, was Enterobacter cloacae, and that is a biohazard. And Christine, I know that you remember this because it was hot and we were shooting, we were doing a skate and surf shoot, and it was a very long day, and you made me wear long sleeves, long pants, and completely cover myself so that I would not get an infection, because as people tell me, I kind of go and do anything to get the right shot. So I know, Christine, you knew I'd be kind of laying on the ground and getting in whatever position I needed to get the shots. But I was covered from head to toe, and I still picked up Enterobacter cloacae, which is a biohazard. And I believe on my Instagram at one point I posted photos and Facebook, but I might have deleted them because they were just really nasty. But I had a fluorescent, like glow-in-the-dark green coming out of wounds and scrapes. And it was like those glow sticks that are green. That's what it looked like. And when I found out what it was, I studied it, and it's a man-made biohazard bacteria that's used as a seedling killer and a pesticide. And the Enterobacter species of bacteria are very hard to kill. And as I said, now I've had 3 detected so far. I have to have a spinal tap redone and a bunch of biopsies redone. But 3 of the bacteria that I did pick up in Florida are still with me. No one's ever caught them. They're not normal for this area, and no one will treat them. But I've finally found some advocates actually have come to me and are trying to help us, seeing as I almost died last year. Here's Luna, who has also been very sick, and I have all of her... Hi. Say hi to everyone in Florida. She misses coconuts desperately. But I don't know that I would want her to eat one now from there. But anyway, Luna's been sick with MRSA, a Pseudomonas aeruginosa or something, and a couple more infections as well. But she's survived just like me, so we have some angels surrounding us, I guess. But that is one that I will happily talk about, because that directly comes from Lake Okeechobee, because it's used in agriculture, and that's not something that you just pick up. I mean, it's very rare, you know, and a lot of the things that I did pick up are very rare. You know, but nobody's caught anything from me here in elevation in Colorado. Nobody. Noah is the same way, though. He if he cuts himself badly, he does tend to pick up infections, the same ones that he started picking up as a tiny child in Florida. So it saddens me that this is happening. I have not stopped trying to fight it since I've been here. It's not like I moved away and was like, peace out, see ya, I'm going to live in the mountains and snowboard. I didn't have a choice, really. And like I said, when I first started coming back here, I thought that I'd be able to go off of the immunosuppressants, and that I would get better. But that's just not the case. The part that I think is really interesting is now that they're posting signs, I guess, at the beaches, that if you're, you know, immunosuppressed, immunocompromised, a senior citizen, pregnant, to go nowhere near the water. But they kept me immunosuppressed for 10 years on everything that you could think of. Prednisone, Cellcept, Imuron, methotrexate. I don't even know how many. But, you know, those aren't good for you, obviously. I'm just happy that I'm finally getting some diagnoses, and which I already had, but they were just mostly infectious. But now I'm beginning to see what it's actually doing to my body. it's not just rashes and, you know, localized infections. It's now, you know, neurotoxins, seizures, cell death, you know, organ problems, I mean, which I was having there as well, but, you know, skeletal, veins, arterial, liver, I mean, everything. My hair is falling out again. It's long again, but if I put it in a braid, it's like the size of my pinky. The latest studies that I've studied on all of this stuff do show that most of these bacteria are like Lyme's disease, so they hide in your body, they coat themselves in special proteins and move around, and it's kind of gross to think about it, but they move around and they make it impossible, you know, for your immune system to kill, but yet your immune system still attacks wherever they are. So it's kind of like a lupus or leukonoid reaction, to where your body ends up attacking itself while it's trying to kill whichever bacteria it's working on at the time. Tired of just seeing fish kill and nasty colored water and the discharges and people just talking about it. It's nice to see that some people who have been sick are talking about it. I was horrified to see one of the Chapman children was sick. And I know that the Chapmans and the Plymals know that this has been going on with me. In fact, I was with you, Stacy Plymal, the first night that I really fell ill, and that was the beginning of my fun times with MRSA, VRSA, and ORSA. So it saddens me because that was a really long time ago. And to know that my friends' children are still being impacted by this, and my mother and my friends, who are getting nowhere and no help and aren't getting better. This is a terrible thing that's happening. We need to come together and really get honest. It's very hard to do. I kept thinking, oh, I'm gonna get my life back. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go to the US Open of Surfing to shoot this year, or get to see Jim and Jerry and Bob and Steve and Pete. I mean, I've been trying to get to Hawaii for 5 years now, like, to shoot with you, I'd do anything to be able to go to the beach and shoot and be with my mentors. I miss my life terribly, and I keep hoping I'm gonna get it back, but I don't even know if I can fly. I will be finding that out. I have a slew of appointments over the next month, actually the next 3 months, but I am in this little teeny tiny town where we get island fever even though it's the mountains, and I've left, I think, once or twice since I've been here. And now I don't know if I can get on an airplane. You know, last year it was my dream coming true to go travel with you, Amanda Host. I mean, we had a catamaran taking us to follow the waves, you know. We were meeting in, I think we were going to meet in Bali or Sumatra, I can't remember. And we had like a month-long hangout that we had planned, you know, half the time following the waves on a gorgeous catamaran, and the other half the time just traveling, you know, and hoping to, you know, just do natural medicine and get better. And then I had another seizure. It's hard for me to have time, and I've been wanting to do this, but like I said, it's very difficult to like say goodbye to my, I guess I don't have to say goodbye to it, but I tried to make some pages about this stuff, and it's hard to shift, you know, people to other pages. I'm giving, like I said, a last chance, a last round of specialists that will hopefully see this horrific state of emergency that Florida is in now and open their eyes to what's going on, because it's really, really hard to convince people who have not heard of half these bacteria or algae blooms, you know, before, to look at 15 years of medical records and believe, you know, I mean, who wants to look through all this? I don't even like looking through it all. I mean, it is crazy. My new goal, obstacle and goal, and hopefully the way to a solution, is to get real and get honest with everybody, as hard as it is. It's been a long road, but this is my new path in my journey, is to not give up, you know, and get real with everybody as to what is going on in my life. And it's really hard to come to terms when, you know, your life is in action sports and travel, and you can no longer do them. I mean, I can't even go take a hike by myself, you know. It's scary. And I'm terrified. And I feel terrible for what my friends have had to go through, both here and in Florida with me and my family. And my son. You know, it wasn't just my life that was stolen through all of this, it was his. I think all he's really ever seen me or remembers me as is being sick, because he was so little when we moved to Florida. Sadly, you know, he won't even go back. I mean, you know, our doctors said the same thing to him, you know, you're gonna get sick. It's not a coincidence that a lot of us have the same symptoms. And we need to come together. So I don't know how to even post this, but it's time. It's time for all of us who have been affected by this. Whether you've been sick, a loved one's been sick, or has passed away, or a friend, or whoever. And I mean, I'm urging all of my friends whether you've gone to the doctor or had a diagnosis, I know we were the river rash, beach people. And so I urge you, even if I know that you've been sick, boys, I know that you know who I'm talking about, to contact me via email or private message me on Messenger or on my phone. But emails would be great. You don't really need to go into detail. Just I need some of the girls I met last night. They're starting a Facebook page for those of us who have been affected, or know somebody that has. But I urge you also, please, to email me. It's my name, Rachel Sarangeli @gmail.com. And or message one of my Facebook pages or Instagram or Twitter. I mean, I haven't even looked at Twitter in forever, but I'm going to try to post this on LinkedIn and Facebook. And my website is down, but I'm going to get that going again. So this is my transition, I guess, to... I'm hoping to still, be able to have that part of my life happen, but at this point I don't really know. But I'm going to keep posting and doing video clips, keeping everybody aware of what I'm doing. I have a lot of contacts to touch base with, but I do have a paper trail of every government agency that I've called, written, over these years, and I still do it. And I actually have, like I said, a lot of advocates here in Colorado that are fighting for us. So I beg you, please, follow my new journey and path to make a difference and make change and restore lives or save lives. I thank everybody for all your support and love through this all. And I cannot thank my friends and family enough, and my son, and all of our friends and venue. And I really have to give a whole lot of love out to the surf industry and surf community. Since I've been so far removed from it, just the overwhelming love and support that you guys still show me and have faith that you will see me again means so much to me. I feel really blessed and grateful to have so many people in my life that have stuck by my side through this, and super grateful to meet new people that are going through similar stuff or worse. Go watch Erin Brockovich again, or A Civil Action. Those are water cases, and Toms River, New Jersey, from years ago. And they won. But the reason was because they found the sick people. And that's the only way that we will win this. So I urge everybody, please get in touch with me. Keep kind of following as I transition over to this new part of, not new part of my life, but this part of my life where I'm having to face reality and get real and honest with everybody. And I ask that you guys do the same, because it is the only way that change is going to happen. It's the only way. So again, It's me, Rachel Sarangeli. But I definitely will be out of cell phone range and busy with lots of doctors, and I will keep everybody informed as to where it all leads to. And let's make this happen. Let's save our water, clean our water, and make change. And let's start to focus on the health of the people and the pets. Because that's what's super important. When you see fish kill and marine life dying, that means humans are dying. We can't allow this to happen. We have to make a difference. My dogs were going crazy because they missed the beach. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I send positive, healing vibes, love, and light to everybody. And that's it for now. Sorry, this was like an hour long.